It's if I was my brother's keeper that I should be concerned about his welfare. So God is saying, be concerned about his welfare. in another sense. So if you knew Cain's story and you read this and you really love God, you just want to do His will, you will see in this that God is saying, be your brother's keeper. Don't treat your brother anyhow in the name of he's not my brother, he's not my sheep or goat or whatever, or my animal. So be your brother's keeper. And you can see from there, even before God made the law of Moses, I said, love your neighbor as yourself and stuff. God is already saying it here too. Just maybe under the tongue or something. So at the hand, So verse 6, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you, be fruitful and multiply. It's a command, it's not a suggestion. Now, you see, it's a blessing, but at the same time, a command. Amen. So, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah, and his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature, not just with man, but even with the animals. Verse 9 again. And I, behold, I established my covenant with you, Noah, and with your seed after you, your sons and your seed, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Well, fire will do the next one. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. Now, God is very cunning. He will not trap himself. So that we now say that he will never, ever, ever again destroy the world at all. We are free to commit sin here now. He won't do anything. I said it. He will keep his word. He's God. So God is always very careful what he says. He won't trap him. So he said flood. But of course, men misbehave. And the next one is fire. You can't say he has broken his word. Can you say he has broken his word? Should be his water, he said. So next one is fire. And it's going to be so anyway, verse 12. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, as the rainbow, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Please observe again, God uses a lot of repetitions. Can you see? Talking, the same, like you said before now. Verse 13, I do set my bow in the cloud, shall come to pass. Verse 14, when I see the bow, I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature, and I will not. Verse 16, and the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, and that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every. You have already made the point now. That's the way we will think in our generation, right? Verse 17, and God said unto Noah, this is the token. This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh. One of the things I see in this is, when raising children, you have to use a lot of repetition so that there is no way they will miss what you are saying. Well, I appreciated that after I started raising our children. I appreciated the repetition. Like you cannot miss it. If you miss it the first time, you won't miss it the second time. If you miss it the second time, you won't miss it the third time. That the rainbow is a token. The rainbow is a token. The rainbow is a token. What did I say? The rainbow is a token. When I look at the rainbow, I will remember my covenant. Did you get that? Okay? So when I see the rainbow, I will not destroy the world again with a flood. Do you get it? So, anyway. So, and God said unto Noah, verse 17, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 18, and the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. Ham is the father of Canaan. The same father or the father of the Canaanites. And so they're already preparing you for the story. What they're trying to tell you in short is Israel's taking over of the land of Canaan is connected to what is they're going to tell you soon. So these are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an okay. Some people will say this thing was a local flood and stuff. So was the covenant a local covenant? Was the covenant a local covenant? I pray to God earnestly that God will give us His power, will show us His power, as in we will live in His power. I always say it again and again. People like Moses, people like Jesus, like Peter, like Paul. If you talk science, as in they'll just be blank, like, what is he saying? Because these men saw miracles that there is no explanation. There is no explanation. So when they read things, they will believe what they are seeing. Imagine you came from heaven and you've been seeing miracles, as in, or you grew with Jesus, just doing miracles, changing water to wine, just sand spits and eyes pop. It will be normal for you when you are reading things like this. It will just be normal. If you meet someone who is saying, there has been a process of development, evolution. It became from why does God need to go through all that process? Why can't you just believe that He made all these things in 6 days? But because we don't see miracles so much, and what we see all around us is science, it is kind of hard to appreciate these things as literally as they are. Amen. Okay, yeah, so that's that. So God ends that first world. The temple is gone. There is a fresh start. Noah offers sacrifice. And this will be the first time he's offering a sacrifice outside a temple. Okay, in the law of Moses, which is the law of God, God forbids offering sacrifices anywhere else but the temple. Okay, except there is no temple. Okay, amen. Okay. So we see here clean and unclean animals. Let me just do a quick recap, which will bring us also to the eating of flesh thing. So, before the flood, we see Abel offer sacrifice. Bible says he was a shepherd, so of course he didn't offer a fox or a wolf. He offered sheep, from his flock. So he offered such a thing. Anyway, so And of course, we know that is a clean animal from the law of Moses. When God spoke to Noah, he said, he spoke of clean and unclean animals. So apparently, Noah should have known what clean and unclean animals were. Nevertheless, they were not eating meat then. So it wasn't about what they ate, but about what was offered in sacrifice to God. So there was a distinction before the flood between clean and unclean animals. But that distinction was only necessary for offering sacrifices to God, not for eating. Amen. Now, I've heard or read some arguments where someone was trying to argue that man ate meat before this time. I don't know how that is supposed to work. But what we see is God said, as I gave you the green herb, I now give you. So apparently, man was not permitted to eat meat before the flood. Oh, yeah. So why were some animals clean and unclean? Why were some animals clean and unclean? Was it always so from the very beginning when God created them? Did God create them clean and unclean? Did God create them so? We don't read that in Genesis 1, at least. We only read livestock, beasts, and fish. We don't see clean, unclean distinction or dichotomy. There's no separation. So, when did this come in? When did this come in? We can be sure it came in after Adam's sin, right? What makes us so sure? Because before Adam sinned, God brought all the animals, including the dirty snake, or the later to be dirty snake. He brought all of them into the Garden of Eden. Now, as we have seen, the Garden of Eden is the holy place. If those animals were unclean, or some of them were unclean, God wouldn't have brought them in there. Which tells us in the beginning, everything was clean. Everything was clean. It's like under the law of Moses, you won't dare make a mistake and bring a dog. You won't even bring it near the temple. Not talk of bring it inside the temple. They are unclean animals. They are not to be seen there. You can offer unclean animals to God, not as sacrifice. So you can vow them to God. They'll give the priest, but they'll never bring it to the temple or offer them as sacrifice. It may be sold to buy a clean animal to offer sacrifice, but you cannot offer them as sacrifice. Anyway, so it was after the flood that after Adam's transgression, that some animals became unclean. Okay? Of course, generally everything had some measure of uncleanness in it. But at that time, the major uncleanness was the dust. The dust. So God cursed the serpent and said, you will eat dust all the days of your life. And what you'll find is, maybe some other time, please remind me. When we list out the unclean animals under the law of Moses, what you find is anything that has to do with the dust is unclean. So anything that looks like a snake, that crawls on its belly, like a lizard, alligator, anything that is close to the ground is unclean. That's why God also told Moses to remove his shoe, because the ground is unclean. And you've been walking on this dirty ground, or let's just call it cursed ground. Don't bring that cursed shoe, or that shoe that is stained with the curse, into my presence. Okay, you get the whole idea? Yes. Then of course, later on, at this point, man could eat everything. But under the law of Moses, another group of animals that could not be eaten were When you check it, they are all carnivorous. Anything carnivorous cannot be eaten.